Hey guys, my name is Gary. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and drug addict. I want to talk a little bit about the fentanyl thing today. A lot of you guys know I lost my son Brandon about 6.5 weeks ago to an accidental fentanyl overdose. And I've been working with a lady named Vicky who started the Impact Foundation and just trying to get the word out. And what was interesting to me today, I was working out in the gym, and I was, in between sets, I kind of play around with different songs and stuff, like on YouTube, and then I'll get a good song, and then I'll crank out another set or whatever. I came across this thing. It was 4 hours old, and it was Joe Rogan interviewing Dr. Phil. And Dr. Phil was talking about everything that I've been talking about with the fentanyl thing. How it's manufactured in China, okay? And it's smuggled over here and given to the cartel, the Fentanyl cartel, who then produces fake pills, all different kinds of pills, Adderall, Xanax, ecstasy, you name it, right? They're producing it. And, it's an interesting video to watch. I mean, he's Dr. Phil, man. He's a really smart guy, and he studied this stuff, and, he has stats. And fentanyl is the number one leading cause of death in the United States from Americans 16 years old to 40 years old. It's the number one cause of death. So we're in the middle of a fucking pandemic, okay? Millions have died from this pandemic. I mean, if you think about it, like, most people know somebody who's been affected or lost their life to an accidental fentanyl overdose, or just a drug overdose in general. But, we're talking about fentanyl now. But that's amazing to me. That just blows me away. And, I try to keep politics out of it, but politics are involved, like, our borders are wide open. And if it wasn't for, like, Texas, and their strong fight against this thing, it would be even worse. I don't, we need to wake up. That's all I got to say. I'm not going to, get into anything else, but we're losing our American youth to fentanyl. And it's coming across the Mexican border. What are we going to do to stop it? China's not going to stop it. They don't care that they're not going to stop it at their airports and people, smuggling it out. They don't really care. They don't care. Just less Americans. What do they care? So I care, and I'm trying to let everybody know, as many people see the video or whatever. I've got a few different network things that I'm doing with different social media. I'm really lame with social media, but I'm learning. And I'm learning because I just lost my son. And, I'm angry, why would The thing that Dr. Phil was talking about, he's saying, he doesn't think they're targeting, kids. It's like, you hear things like China's trying to knock down our population and this, that, and the other. And I don't know if that's true or not. Dr. Phil said he doesn't know if that's true or not, or, those are conspiracy theories, and some conspiracy theories are true. But one thing that I'm pretty sure of is China really doesn't care. If they wanted to stop, they control everybody in that country. They know when you take a piss in that country. They could shut that down real quick. And they're not. And sadly enough, our government isn't either. They're just letting it flow on through. Just, we have to, we have to do something with the borders. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Young kids are dying. It's from 16 to 40. From 16 to 40, number one leading cause in the United States, fentanyl overdose. Who'd have thunk? It's not heart disease. It's not cancer. It's not HIV. So, anyways, I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic, and the way I get through life these days, and the way I'm getting through the death of my son is with the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Program of Alcoholics Anonymous saves lives. It's saved millions of lives. It's about 90-year-old program, close to 90 years old. I think it was started in 1935 by a guy named Bill Wilson. He was a stockbroker, right? And he was a drunk. I've read his life story, and he was just a hope to die drunk, and he could not stop drinking, and he ended up getting sober, and he had a spiritual awakening, and he we all have these forks in the road or these turning points in our life, and he came to a fork in the road one time. At 6 months sober, he thought about having a drink. He was in a hotel lobby, and hopefully I'm not botching this story because I'm just going by memory of a book I had read about his life story. A hotel lobby in Akron, Ohio, and I could be wrong on the city, but he was in a hotel lobby, and he got the thought, I'm going to take it, I want a drink after 6 months of sobriety. And he knew he would die if he drank. And he saw a payphone, and there was that fork in the road. Do I do the same thing that I've been doing, my whole life, or, should I pick up that payphone? He picked up the payphone, called a local hospital, and local hospital said, "Yeah, we got a live one. Come to the hospital. Come talk to him." And the guy in the hospital was Dr. Bob. And Dr. Bob was fucked up, and Bill Wilson had a long talk with him and told him of a spiritual experience he had. And they got together and they started a program called Alcoholics Anonymous, these two men. So Dr. Bob was he was fresh meat out of the hospital, man. And Bill Wilson was 6 months sober. And these guys started this program. It was divine intervention, man. It was a spiritual infusion of these two men. And this program has spiritually infused millions of people throughout the world. Alcoholics Anonymous is in most countries and cities throughout the whole world. And it's been an amazing movement. And it saved my life. Even though I have, only 5.5 months of sobriety, I've had, 18 years of sobriety, 7 years one time, 1 year one time, 10 years, just under 10 years another time. So I've been able to live a somewhat normal life. The happiest times of my life were sober. I raised my kids sober because of Alcoholics Anonymous. They were all familiar with AA. But, so anyways, tonight I didn't have anything planned. I don't want to be a pain in my kid's ass and stuff like that. And I don't know a lot of people, and I'm still getting to know people in AA and stuff like that. And there's this woman that she texted me earlier this week and said, "Hey, I'm going to a meeting. You want to meet me there?" And I ended up meeting her there. And if you listen to my earlier video, I was going to support her, and she had ended up introducing me to a young man that's just starting out this way of life. It was his second meeting, and we exchanged phone numbers, and we've been talking and texting and stuff. So what a great thing this is. So now I feel privileged that I get to introduce him to this way of life, and I got a lot of experience in it, in recovery and relapse. So anyways, I'm had a fucked up day today. I got in the way again, and I had to make amends to people at work and stuff like that. So we'll get into that in a different video. We can laugh at me and my fucked up behavior, but it wasn't bad, the behavior, but I've been tough at work with this person, and we'll talk about it in another video. But I was apologizing again today, but thank God I have this program, and the people in it spent a lot of time on the phone with a friend, him telling me, about me, and we're now on a different path. Our old ways don't work, and it's hard. I don't take direction well, and I was in so much pain and so uncomfortable with myself that I was listening to this friend of mine that I've known for 20 years, and he's got 30 years of sobriety. I was listening to every word that he had to say. And, we talked about God. We talked about he knows me like a book. We talked about me and, different ways to live, And so I went and made some amends today, and, hopefully I got a job on Monday. I'm sure I do. But if I don't, it wouldn't be the first one I lost because of my fucking attitude, poor attitude. But anyways, so I'm dealing with all that shit. I'm just sad and fucked up, I'm fucked up, dealing with this shit with my son, and so I get home, and I'm just like kind of in a fucked mood, and I got that text message from this woman. She's not a girl, she's not a young girl, she's a woman with a family and a husband and a child, and we're friends. So I get a text from her, and she's new to this way of life, and she's a super smart lady, right? Like, has a great career, and super smart lady. And I get this text, I'm going to such and such meeting at 8 o'clock tonight, and I'm like, fuck, now I'm going to this meeting at 8 o'clock tonight, right? So, the last thing I wanted to do tonight. But I did. I got into the gym, right? I actually worked out today. Had a pretty good workout, man. Then I listened to Dr. Phil. I got all pumped up on this fentanyl thing, because he was saying exactly what I was saying about this stuff. Please go to the Joe Rogan interview with Dr. Phil and check it out, guys. It's very informative, very. And, he hits the Halloween candy shit. Everything that I've been talking about for days now. And Dr. Phil laid it all out, way more intelligent than me, way more articulate than me, way more information. He's got way more information than I have. So please watch that. Circulate that video. Circulate my videos. You never know whose life you may save. So the text message goes off, and I'm just like, fuck, man, I just wanted to sit at home with a crazy person, right? Me. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, of course. And we'll go sit together and have a meeting together, And it was actually really nice. The meeting was crowded. There was a lady in there pretty fucked up. She was fucked up when she shared, and she was new. And she was loaded, and she left in an ambulance. So I got to see the disease right there. And hopefully that lady's okay. Real young lady. Hope she's okay. But there's got to be 100 people in there, and I shared I wanted to check in, and there was a friend there from another group, from my home group, the Bolden group, and he shared, and he sparked something in me, and he was talking about relapse and throwing away a lot of years, and I did the same thing, and I beat the shit out of myself for years, but now that I'm back in recovery, I don't do that. Well, I take that back. Since my son has passed, right, I have done it. There are times when I'm taking a walk in Gary's fucking bad neighborhood that involves a lot of darkness and, suicidal thoughts, and I'm a shitty father, and, all this stuff, right? Because I'll go, yeah. If you would have just listened to your son and stayed sober, because Brandon told me it, when I relapsed, he sat me down and said, Dad, I think you should, you do a lot better with your AA friends, and I didn't do that. I was 10 more years out there, because what happened, and we talked about it in the meeting tonight, what happens is, once you put that shit in, it sets off, they talk about it in the doctor's opinion, in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and this is where the disease or the allergy of the body comes in. It's an allergy of the body and an obsession of the mind. And once you set off that phenomenon of craving, goodbye. My personality changes, and I'm living for one thing now, is to keep putting that shit in my body. And I did it for 10 years. So, it's like, it's a great, I've heard this great thing, comparison too, and it's the truth. Relapsing, right, and setting off that phenomenon of craving, it's like having sex with a gorilla. You're not done until the gorilla says you're done. And that's what it's like, man. And you're lucky to survive it. And I'm fortunate enough to have survived it. And hopefully, I can live out the rest of my life sober, a day at a time, and help people with this disease I have. So it was a great meeting. After the meeting, I got to share, and then I felt gratitude, and I felt, for that woman that went away in an ambulance, and I got to speak to my friend after the meeting for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever afterwards, and just to kind of check in and connect, and we're getting to know each other. Yeah, we're getting to know each other. It's a cool thing. So she did more for me than I could have ever done for her tonight. I know that. I didn't want to go, and I went because I knew I would be home alone with a crazy person, and doing battle with that. I'm actually okay right now. I'm really tired, but I'm not in a bad place or anything like that. I'm just tired. I'm gonna go to sleep and try to have a nice weekend, and I'm got some decisions to make about my life and things like that, but nothing has to be, no decisions have to be made today or tomorrow. And what I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous is if you don't know, then you don't know. And if, just keep praying. I'll keep praying on it. And then I'll intuitively know what to do when the time is right. So I don't need to force anything or get involved in all that shit. I just need to keep my behavior in check and keep going to meetings. And I do need to exercise, and I exercised good today, and I need to keep that going. So if you're in grief or recovery, and all these things I'm saying are what keep me going. And remember, I've just lost my son, so it's compounded times 1 billion. So I'm a newcomer in dealing with a horrendous amount of grief, and I haven't even thought about taking a drink. I've had a couple brief moments, but skated right through them. So if you want that kind of power over drugs and alcohol, you gain it in doing what I've been doing. It's that connection with a power greater than yourself. And it doesn't have to be the same power that I believe in. It just has to be, you have to believe in a power greater than yourself. Some people just use the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous to do that. Because that is a power greater than yourself. When you want to drink and you start dialing that phone, people start answering the phone and talking to you and come over to your house or do whatever, meet up with you, have coffee, and you get through that. That's a powerful thing. So I use it both. I use God and I use the people in AA. So remember, you guys, the 5-day God challenge. Okay, the 5-day God challenge. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm saying it helps, and I'm saying it worked for me. Get on your knees once in the morning. If you're having trouble with drugs and alcohol, or you want to make your life better, you want to live a sober life or free from drugs and alcohol, and you find that you can't put it down, or you keep returning to it, you swear it off and you keep coming back to it. Remember, get on your knees, ask God to help keep you sober that day. And if he keeps you sober, get on your knees at night and say thank you. And in between the morning and the night, try to help somebody. Try to get out of yourself a little bit and try to help somebody. And ask God for the strength to go to an AA or an NA meeting. Just check it out, man. It's just for today, If you can relate to the people in those meetings, and if you are an alcoholic or an addict, you will relate. Look for the similarities, not the differences. There's going to be a lot of them. So also ask God to reveal himself to you. If you're having a hard time believing or you don't believe that I believe. Ask him to reveal himself to you. He will. Just be open to those little miracles. And sometimes those miracles are that text message or that phone call that comes in and says, hey, you want to go to a meeting tonight? Or hey, you want to do this for me? And you're like, fuck, I don't want to do that. I just want to curl up in bed and pout or think about, go out on a date or something like that. You know what? Answer that call, answer that text, do what you don't want to do. And those are the greatest gifts. Those are the nuggets, little nuggets of gold. So until next time, you guys, I'll be back.